Poems of Gerard Manley Hopkins. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by MichaelMaggs. Author's Preface. The poems in this book are written some in running rhythm, the common rhythm in English use, some in sprung rhythm, and some in a mixture of the two. And those in the common rhythm are some counterpointed, some not. Common English rhythm, called running rhythm above, is measured by feet of either 2 or 3 syllables, and, putting aside the imperfect feet at the beginning and end of lines, and also some unusual measures in which feet seem to be paired together and double or composite feet to arise, never more or less. Every foot has one principal stress or accent, and this, or the syllable it falls on, may be called the stress of the foot, and the other part, the 1 or 2 unaccented syllables, the slack. Feet and the rhythms made out of them, in which the stress comes first, are called falling feet and falling rhythms. Feet and rhythm in which the slack comes first are called rising feet and rhythms. And if the stress is between 2 slacks, there will be rocking feet and rhythms. These distinctions are real and true to nature, but for purposes of scanning it is a great convenience to follow the example of music and take the stress always first, as the accent, or the chief accent, always comes first in a musical bar. If this is done, there will be in common English verse only 2 possible feet, the so-called accentual trochee and dactyl, and correspondingly only 2 possible uniform rhythms, the so-called trochaic and dactylic. But they may be mixed, and then what the Greeks call a logoedic rhythm arises. These are the facts, and according to these the scanning of ordinary, regularly written English verse is very simple indeed, and to bring in other principles is here unnecessary. But because verse written strictly in these feet and by these principles will become same and tame, the poets have brought in licenses and departures from rule to give variety, and especially when the natural rhythm is rising, as in the common 10-syllable or 5-foot verse, rhymed or blank. These irregularities are chiefly reversed feet and reversed or counterpoint rhythm, which 2 things are 2 steps or degrees of license in the same kind. By a reversed foot, I mean the putting the stress where, to judge by the rest of the measure, the slack should be, and the slack where the stress. And this is done freely at the beginning of a line and in the course of a line after a pause, only scarcely ever in the 2nd foot or place, and never in the last, unless when the poet designs some extraordinary effect, for these places are characteristic and sensitive, and cannot well be touched. But the reversal of the 1st foot, and of some middle foot after a strong pause, is a thing so natural that our poets have generally done it, from Chaucer down, without remark, and it commonly passes unnoticed and cannot be said to amount to a formal change of rhythm, but rather is that irregularity which all natural growth and motion shows. If, however, the reversal is repeated in 2 feet running, especially so as to include the sensitive 2nd foot, it must be due either to great want of ear, or else is a calculated effect, the superinducing or mounting of a new rhythm upon the old. And since the new or mounted rhythm is actually heard, and at the same time the mind naturally supplies the natural or standard foregoing rhythm, for we do not forget what the rhythm is that by rights we should be hearing, 2 rhythms are in some manner running at once, and we have something answerable to counterpoint in music, which is 2 or more strains of tune going on together, and this is counterpoint rhythm. Of this kind of verse Milton is the great master, and the choruses of Samson Agonistes are written throughout in it, but with the disadvantage that he does not let the reader clearly know what the Grandeur rhythm is meant to be, and so they have struck most readers as merely irregular. And if in fact you counterpoint throughout, since one only of the counter rhythms is actually heard, the other is really destroyed or cannot come to exist, and what is written is one rhythm only, and probably sprung rhythm, of which I now speak. Sprung rhythm, as used in this book, is measured by feet of from 1 to 4 syllables regularly, and for particular effects any number of weak or slack syllables may be used. It has one stress, which falls on the only syllable, if there is only one, or, if there are more, then scanning as above, on the first, and so gives rise to 4 sorts of feet: a monosyllable, and the so-called accentual trochee, dactyl, and the first paean. And there will be 4 corresponding natural rhythms, but nominally the feet are mixed and any one may follow any other. And hence, sprung rhythm differs from running rhythm in having or being only one nominal rhythm, a mixed or logoedic one, instead of 3, but on the other hand in having twice the flexibility of foot, so that any 2 stresses may either follow one another running, or be divided by 1, 2, or 3 slack syllables. But strict sprung rhythm cannot be counterpointed. In sprung rhythm, as in logoedic rhythm generally, the feet are assumed to be equally long or strong, and their seeming inequality is made up by pause or stressing. Remark also that it is natural in sprung rhythm for the lines to be rove over, that is, for the scanning of each line immediately to take up that of the one before, so that if the first has 1 or more syllables at its end, the other must have so many the less at its beginning, and in fact the scanning runs on without break from the beginning, say, of a stanza to the end, and all the stanza is one long strain, though written in lines asunder. 2 licenses are natural to sprung rhythm. The one is rests, as in music, but of this an example is scarcely to be found in this book, unless in the Echoes, 2nd line. The other is hangers or outrides, that is 1, 2, or 3 slack syllables added to a foot and not counting in the nominal scanning. They are so called because they seem to hang below the line or ride forward or backward from it in another dimension than the line itself, according to a principle needless to explain here. These outriding half-feet or hangers are marked by a loop underneath them, and plenty of them will be found. The other marks are easily understood, namely accents, where the reader might be in doubt which syllable should have the stress, slurs, that is, loops over syllables to tie them together into the time of 1, little loops at the end of a line to show that the rhyme goes on to the first letter of the next line, what in music are called pauses, symbol, to show that the syllable should be dwelt on, and twirls, symbol, to mark reversed or counterpointed rhythm. Note on the nature and history of sprung rhythm. Sprung rhythm is the most natural of things, for 1. It is the rhythm of common speech and of written prose, when rhythm is perceived in them. 2. It is the rhythm of all but the most monotonously regular music, so that in the words of choruses and refrains and in songs written closely to music, it arises. 3. It is found in nursery rhymes, weather saws, and so on, because, however these may once have been made in running rhythm, the terminations having dropped off by the change of language, the stresses come together, and so the rhythm is sprung. 4. It arises in common verse when reversed or counterpointed, for the same reason. But nevertheless, in spite of all this, and though Greek and Latin lyric verse, which is well known, and the Old English verse seen in Piers Plowman are in sprung rhythm, it has in fact ceased to be used since the Elizabethan age, Green being the last writer who can be said to have recognised it. For perhaps there was not, down to our days, a single, even short poem in English in which sprung rhythm is employed, not for single effects or in fixed places, but as the governing principle of the scansion. I say this because the contrary has been asserted. If it is otherwise, the poem should be cited. Some of the sonnets in this book are in 5-foot, some in 6-foot or Alexandrine lines. Numbers 13 and 22 are curtle sonnets, that is, they are constructed in proportions resembling those of the sonnet proper, namely 6+4, instead of 8+6, with, however, a half-line tailpiece, so that the equation is rather 12/8 plus 9/2 equals 21/2 equals 10½. End of author's preface. For a Picture of St. Dorothea by Gerard Manley Hopkins, read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. For a Picture of St. Dorothea. I bear a basket lined with grass. I am so light, I am so fair that men must wonder as I pass, and at the basket that I bear, wherein a newly drawn green litter sweet flowers I carry, sweets for bitter. Lilies I show you, lilies none, none in Caesar's gardens blow, and a quince in hand, not one is set upon your boughs below, not set, because their buds not spring, spring not, 'cause world is wintering. But these were found in the east and south, where winter is the clime forgot. The dewdrop on the larkspur's mouth, oh, should it then be quenched not? In starry water meads they drew these drops. Which be they, stars or dew? Had she a quince in hand? Yet gaze. Rather it is the sizing moon. Lo, linked heavens with milky ways. That was her larkspur row. So soon? Sphered so fast, sweet soul? We see nor fruit, nor flowers, nor Dorothy. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Heaven Haven by Gerard Manley Hopkins, read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Heaven Haven, a nun takes the veil. I have desired to go where springs not fail, to fields where flies no sharp and sided hail, and a few lilies blow. And I have asked to be where no storms come, where the green swell is in the havens dumb, and out of the swing of the sea. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. The Habit of Perfection by Gerard Manley Hopkins, read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. The Habit of Perfection. Elected silence, sing to me and beat upon my whirled ear. Pipe me to pastures still, and be the music that I care to hear. Shape nothing lips, be lovely dumb, it is the shut, the curfew sent from there where all surrenders come, which only makes you eloquent. Be shelled, eyes with double dark, and find the uncreated light. This ruck and reel which you remark coils, keeps, and teases simple sight. Palate, the hutch of tasty lust, desire not to be rinsed with wine. The can must be so sweet, the crust so fresh that come in fasts divine. Nostrils, your careless breath that spend upon the stir and keep of pride, what relish shall the censers send along the sanctuary side? O feel of primrose hands, O feet that want the yield of plushy sward, but you shall walk the golden street, and you unhouse and house the Lord. And poverty, be thou the bride, and now the marriage feast begun, and lily-coloured clothes provide your spouse, not laboured at, nor spun. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. The Wreck of the Deutschland by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. The Wreck of the Deutschland. To the happy memory of 5 Franciscan nuns, exiles by the folklores, drowned between midnight and morning of December 7th, 1875. Part the First. Thou, mastering me, God, giver of breath and bread, world's strand, sway of the sea, Lord of living and dead, thou hast bound bones and veins in me, fastened me flesh, and after it almost unmade, what with dread thy doing, and dost thou touch me afresh? Over again I feel thy finger, and find thee. I did say yes, oh, at lightning and lashed rod. Thou heardst me truer than tongue confess thy terror, O Christ, O God. Thou knowest the walls, altar and hour and night, the swoon of a heart that the sweep and the hurl of thee trod hard down with a horror of height, and the midriff a strain with leaning of, laced with fire of stress. The frown of his face before me, the hurtle of hell behind, where was a place? I whirled out wings that spell, and fled with a fling of the heart to the heart of the host. My heart, but you were dove-winged, I can tell, carrier-witted, I am bold to boast. To flash from the flame to the flame then, tower from the grace to the grace. I am soft sift in an hourglass, at the wall fast, but mind with a motion, adrift, and it crowds and it combs to the fall. I steady as a water in a well, to a poise, to a pain, but roped with, always, all the way down from the tall fells or flanks of the voile, a vein of the gospel proffer, a pressure, a principle, Christ's gift. I kiss my hand to the stars, lovely asunder starlight, wafting him out of it, and glory in thunder. Kiss my hand to the dappled with damson west, since, though he is under the world's splendour and wonder, his mystery must be stressed, for I greet him the days I meet him, and bless when I understand. Not out of his bliss springs the stress felt, nor first from heaven, and few know this, swings the stroke dealt. Stroke and a stress that stars and storms deliver, that guilt is hushed by, hearts are flushed by and melt. But it rides time like riding a river, and here the faithful waver, the faithless fable and miss. It dates from day of his going in Galilee, warm-laid grave of a womb-life grey, manger, maiden's knee, the dense and the driven passion and frightful sweat. Thence the discharge of it, there its swelling to be, though felt before, though in high flood yet. What none would have known of it, only the heart, being hard at bay, is out with it. Oh, we lash with the best or worst word last. How a lush-kept, plush-capped slow will, mouthed to flesh-burst gush, flush the man, the being with it, sour or sweet, brim in a flash full. Hither then, last or first, to hero of Calvary, Christ's feet, never ask if meaning it, wanting it, warned of it, men go. Be adored among men, God, three-numbered form. Ring thy rebel, dogged in den man's malice, with wrecking and storm. Beyond saying sweet, past telling of tongue, thou art lightning and love. I found it a winter and warm father and fondler of heart thou hast wrung. Has thy dark descending, and most art merciful then. With an anvil-ding, and with fire in him, forge thy will, or rather than stealing, as spring through him. Melt him, but master him still. Whether at once, as once at a crush Paul, or as Austin, a lingering out sweet skill, make mercy in all of us, out of us all mastery, but be adored, King. Part the second. Some find me a sword, some the flange and the rail, flame, fang, or flood. Goes death on drum, and storms bugle his fame. But we dream we are rooted in earth, dust. Flesh falls within sight of us, we, though our flower the same. Wave with the meadow, forget that there must the sour scythe cringe, and the blear share come. On Saturday sailed from Bremen, American outward bound. Take settler and seaman, tell men with women, 200 souls in the round. O Father, not under thy feathers, nor ever as guessing the goal was a shoal, of a fourth the doom to be drowned. Yet did the dark side of the bay of thy blessing not vault them? The million of rounds of thy mercy not reeve even them in? Into the snows she sweeps, hurling the haven behind, the Deutschland on Sunday, and so the sky keeps, for the infinite air is unkind. And the sea flint-flake, black-backed in the regular blow, sitting east-north-east, in cursed quarter the wind, wiry and white-fiery, and whirlwind swiveled snow spins to the widow-making, unchilding, unfathering deeps. She drove in the dark to leeward, she struck, not a reef or a rock, but the combs of a smother of sand. Night drew her dead to the Kentish knock, and she beat the bank down with her bows and the ride of her keel. The breakers rolled on her beam with ruinous shock, and canvas and compass, the whirl and the wheel, idle for ever to waft her or wind her with. These she endured. Hope had grown grey hairs, hope had mourning on. Trenched with tears, carved with cares, hope was 12 hours gone. And frightful a nightfall folded, rueful a day, nor rescue. Only rocket and lightship shone, and lives at last were washing away. To the shrouds they took, they shook in the hurling and horrible airs. One stirred from the rigging to save the wild womankind below. With a rope's end ran the man, handy and brave. He was pitched to his death at a blow. For all his dreadnought breast and braids of thew, they could tell him for hours dandled the to and fro through the cobbled foam fleece. What could he do with the burl of the fountains of air, buck and the flood of the wave? They fought with God's cold, and they could not, and fell to the deck, crush them, or water, and drown them, or rolled with the sea romp over the wreck. Night roared with the heartbreak, hearing a heartbroke rabble, the woman's wailing, the crying of child without check, till a lioness arose, breasting the babble, a prophetess towered in the tumult, a virginal tongue told. Ah, touched in your bower of bone, are you? Turned for an exquisite smart, have you? Make words break from me here, all alone, do you? Mother of being in me, heart, oh, unteachably after evil, but uttering truth. Why, tears, is it? Tears? Such a melting, a madrigal start. Never eldering revel and river of youth. What can it be, this glee? The good you have there of your own? Sister, a sister calling, a master, her master and mine. And the inboard seas run swirling and hauling, the rash, smart, sloggering brine blinds her. But she that weather sees one thing, one, has one fetch in her. She rears herself to divine ears, and the call of the tall nun to the men in the tops and the tackle rode over the storms brawling. She was first of a 5, and came of a coiffed sisterhood. O Deutschland, double a desperate name. O world wide of its good. But Gertrude, Lillian Luther are 2 of a town, Christ's lily, and beast of the waste wood. From life's dawn it is drawn down. Abel is Cain's brother, and breasts they have sucked the same. Loathed for a love men knew in them, banned by the land of their birth, Rhine refused them, Thames would ruin them, surf, snow, river and earth gnashed. But thou art above, thou Orion of light. Thy unchancelling, poising palms were weighing the worth, thou martyr-master. In thy sight stormflakes were scroll-leaved flowers, lily showers. Sweet heaven was a-strew in them. 5. The finding and sake and cipher of suffering Christ. Mark, the mark is of man's make, and the word of it, sacrificed. But he scores it in scarlet himself on his own bespoken, beforetime taken, dearest prized and priced stigma, signal, cinquefoil token for lettering of the lamb's fleece, ruddying of the rose flake. Joy fall to thee, Father Francis, drawn to the life that died, with the gnarls of the nails in thee, niche of the lance, his lovescape crucified, and seal of his seraph arrival. And these thy daughters and 5 livid and leaved favour and pride are sisterly sealed in wild waters, to bathe in his full gold mercies, to breathe in his all-fire glances. Away in the lovable west on a pastoral forehead of Wales, I was under a roof here, I was at rest, and they the prey of the gales. She to the black about air, to the breaker, the thickly falling flakes, to the throng that catches and quails was calling, O Christ, Christ, come quickly. The cross to her she calls Christ to her, christens her wild worst best. The majesty, what did she mean? Breathe, arch and original breath. Is it love in her of the being, as her lover had been? Breathe, body of lovely death. They were else minded then, altogether. The men woke thee with a, we are perishing, in the weather of Gennesareth? Or is it that she cried for the crown then, the keener to come at the comfort for feeling the combating keen? For how to the heart's cheering the down-dugged, ground-hugged grey hovers off, the jay-blue heavens appearing of pied and peeled May, blue-beating and hoary glow height, or night, still higher with belled fire, and the moth-soft Milky Way. What, by your measure, is the heaven of desire? The treasure never eyesight got, nor was ever guessed what for the hearing. No, but it was not these. The jading and jar of the cart, time's tasking, it is fathers that asking for ease of the Sodom with its sorrowing heart, not danger electrical horror. Then further it finds the appealing of the passion is tenderer in prayer apart. Other, I gather, in measure her mind's burden, in winds burly and beat of dragoned seas. But how shall I make me room there? Reach me a fancy, come faster. Strike you the sight of it. Look at it loom there, thing that she... There then, the master, ipse, the only one, Christ, King, head. He was to cure the extremity where he had cast her. Do, deal, lord it with living and dead. Let him ride her pride in his triumph, dispatch and have done with his doom there. Ah, there was a heart right, there was single eye, read the unshapable shock night, and knew the who and the why, wording it how but by him that present and past heaven and earth are word of, worded by the Simon Peter of a soul, to the blast Tarpeian fast, but a blown beacon of light. Jesu, heart's light, Jesu, maid's son, what was the feast followed the night thou hast glory of this nun? Feast of the one woman without stain. For so conceived, so to conceive thee is done. But here was heart-throe, birth of a brain, word that heard and kept thee, and uttered thee outright. Well, she has thee for the pain, for the patience, but pity of the rest of them. Heart, go and bleed at a bitterer vein for the comfortless unconfessed of them. No, not uncomforted. Lovely felicitous Providence, finger of a tender of a feathery delicacy. The breast of the maiden could obey so, be a bell too, ring of it, and startle the poor sheep back. Is the shipwrack then a harvest? Does tempest carry the grain for thee? I admire thee, master of the tides, of the yore-flood, of the year's fall, the recurb and the recovery of the gulf's sides, the girth of it, and the wharf of it, and the wall, stanching, quenching ocean of a motionable mind, ground of being, and granite of it, past all grasp, God, throned behind death with a sovereignty that heeds but hides, bodes but abides with a mercy that outrides the all of water, an ark for the listener, for the lingerer with a love glides lower than death and the dark, a vein for the visiting of the past prayer, pent in prison the last breath penitent spirits, the uttermost mark our passion-plunger giant risen, the Christ, the Father compassionate, fetched in the storm of his strides. Now burn, new-born to the world, double-natured name, the heaven-flung, heart-fleshed, maiden-furled miracle in Mary of flame, mid-numbered he, in three of the thunder throne, not a doomsday dazzle in his coming, nor dark as he came, kind, but royally reclaiming his own, a released shower let flash to the shire, not a lightning of fire hard hurled. Dame, at our door drowned, and among our shoals, remember us in the roads, the heaven haven of the reward. Our king back, oh, upon English souls. Let him Easter in us, be a dayspring to the dimness of us, be a crimson cresseted east, more brightening her, rare dear Britain, as his reign rolls. Pride, rose, prince, hero of us, high priest, our hearts charity's hearth's fire, our thoughts chivalry's throngs lord. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Penmaen Pool by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Penmaen Pool, for the visitor's book at the inn. Who long for rest, who look for pleasure away from canter, court, or school, oh, where live well your lease of leisure, but here at Penmaen Pool. You'll dare the Alp, you'll dart the skiff, each sport has here its tackle and tool. Come, plant the staff by Cadair cliff, come, swing the sculls on Penmaen Pool. What's yonder? Grizzled Duffis dim, the triple-hammocked giant stool, hoar messmate, hobs and nobs with him to half the bowl of Penmaen Pool. And all the landscape under survey, at tranquil turns by nature's rule, rides repeated topsy-turvy in fairy Penmaen Pool. And Charles's wain, the Wanderer Seven, and sheep-flock clouds like worlds of wool, for all they shine so, high in heaven, show brighter, shaken in Penmaen Pool. The Mouthach, how she trips, though throttled if flood-tide teeming thrills her full, and mazy sands, all water-wattled, waylay her at ebb, past Penmaen Pool. But what's to see in stormy weather, when grey showers gather and gusts are cool? Why, raindrop roundels loop together that lace the face of Penmaen Pool. Then even in weariest wintry hour of New Year's month or surly Yule, furred snows, charged tuft above tuft, tower from darksome Penmaen Pool. And ever, if bound here hardest home, you've parlour pastime left, and who'll not honour it, ale like goldy foam that frocks an oar in Penmaen Pool. Then come who pine for peace or pleasure, away from canter, court, or school. Spend here your measure of time and treasure, and taste the treats of Penmaen Pool. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. The Silver Jubilee by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. The Silver Jubilee. To James, 1st Bishop of Shrewsbury, on the 25th year of his episcopate, July 28th, 1876. Though no high-hung bells or din of braggart bugles cry it in, what is sound? Nature's round makes the Silver Jubilee. 25 years have run since sacred fountains to the sun sprang, that but now were shut, showering Silver Jubilee. Feasts, when we shall fall asleep, Shrewsbury may see others keep. None but you, this her true, this her Silver Jubilee. Not today we need lament, your wealth of life is some way spent. Toil has shed round your head silver, but for Jubilee. Then for her whose velvet veils should have pealed with welcome, Wales, let the chime of a rhyme utter Silver Jubilee. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. God's Grandeur by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. God's Grandeur. The world is charged with the grandeur of God. It will flame out like shining from shook foil. It gathers to a greatness like the ooze of oil crushed. Why do men then now not wreck his rod? Generations have trod, and all is seared with trade, bleared, smeared with toil, and wears man's smudge and shares man's smell. The soil is bare now, nor can foot feel, being shod. And for all this, nature is never spent. There lives the dearest freshness deep down things, and though the last lights of the black west went, oh, morning at the brown brink eastward springs, because the Holy Ghost over the bent world broods with warm breast, and with, bright wings. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. The Starlight Night by Gerard Manley Hopkins, read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. The Starlight Night. Look at the stars, look up at the skies. Oh, look at all the firefolk sitting in the air, the bright burrows, the circle citadels there. Down in dim woods the diamond delves, the elves' eyes, the grey lawns cold where quick gold lies. Wind-beat white beam, area bells set on a flare, flake doves sent floating forth at a farmyard scare. Ah, well, it is all a purchase, all is a prize. Buy then, bid then. What? Prayer, patience, alms, vows. Look, a May mess like on orchard boughs. Look, March bloom like on mealed with yellow sallows. These are indeed the barn, within doors house the shocks. This peace-bright paling shuts the spouse, Christ home, Christ and his mother, and all his hallows. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Spring by Gerard Manley Hopkins, read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Spring. Nothing is so beautiful as spring, when weeds in wheels shoot long and lovely and lush. Thrushes' eggs look little low heavens, and thrush through the echoing timber does so rinse and ring the ear, it strikes like lightnings to hear him sing. The glassy pear tree leaves and blooms, they brush the descending blue. That blue is all in a rush with richness. The racing lambs too have fair their fling. What is all this juice and all this joy? A strain of the earth's sweet being in the beginning, in Eden garden. Have, get, before it cloy, before it cloud, Christ, Lord, and sour with sinning. Innocent mind, and Mayday in girl and boy, most, O mage child, thy choice, and worthy the winning. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. The Lantern Out of Doors by Gerard Manley Hopkins, read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. The Lantern Out of Doors. Sometimes a lantern moves along the night that interests our eyes. And who goes there, I think? Where from and bound, I wonder? Where, with all down darkness wide, his wading light? Men go by me, whom either beauty bright in mould or mind or what not else makes rare, They rain against our much thick and marsh air rich beams, till death or distance buys them quite. Death or distance soon consumes them. Wind what most I may I after, be in at the end I cannot, and out of sight is out of mind. Christ minds, Christ's interest, what to avow or amend there, eyes them, heart wants, care haunts, foot follows kind, their ransom, their rescue, and first fast, last friend. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. The Sea and the Skylark by Gerard Manley Hopkins, read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. The Sea and the Skylark. On ear and ear, two noises too old to end trench. Right, the tide that ramps against the shore with a flood or a fall, low lull-off, or all roar frequenting there while moon shall wear and wend. Left hand, off land, I hear the lark ascend, his rash fresh, re-winded, new-skeyned score in crisps of curl off wild winch whirl, and pour and pelt music, till none's to spill nor spend. How these two shame this shallow and frail town! How wring right out our sordid, turbid time, being pure! We, life's pride and cared-for crown, have lost that cheer and charm of earth's past prime. Our maker making break are breaking down to man's last dust, drained fast towards man's first slime. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. The Windhover by Gerard Manley Hopkins, read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. The Windhover, to Christ our Lord. I caught this morning morning's minion, kingdom of daylight's dauphin, dappled dawn-drawn falcon, in his riding of the rolling level, underneath him steady air, and striding high there, how he rung upon the rein of a wimpling wing in his ecstasy, then off, forth on swing, as a skate's heel sweeps smooth on a bow-bend. The hurl and gliding rebuffed the big wind. My heart in hiding stirred for a bird, the achieve of, the mastery of the thing. Brute beauty and valour and act, oh, air, pride, plume, here buckle! And the fire that breaks from thee then, a billion times told lovelier, more dangerous, O my chevalier. No wonder of it, sheer plod makes ploughed Ancilian shine, and blue bleak embers, ah, my dear, fall, gall themselves, and gash gold vermilion. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Pied Beauty by Gerard Manley Hopkins, read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Pied Beauty. Glory be to God for dappled things, for skies of couple colour as a brinded cow, for rose moles all in stipple upon trout that swim, fresh fire-coal chestnut falls, finches' wings, landscape plotted and pieced, fold, fallow and plough, and all trades their gear and tackle and trim. All things counter, original, spare, strange, Whatever is fickle, freckled, who knows how, with swift slow, sweet sour, a dazzle dim, he fathers forth whose beauty is past change. Praise him. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Hurrahing in Harvest by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Hurrahing in Harvest. Summer ends now. Now, barbarous in beauty, the stooks rise around. Up above, what wind walks, what lovely behaviour of silk-sack clouds! Has wilder, wilful, wavier meal-drift moulded ever and melted across skies? I walk, I lift up heart, eyes, down all that glory in the heavens to glean our Saviour. And eyes, heart, what looks, what lips yet gave you a rapturous love's greeting of realer, of rounder replies. And the azurous hung hills are his world-wielding shoulder, majestic as a stallion stalwart, very violet sweet. These things were here, and but the beholder wanting, which two, when they once meet, the heart rears wings bold and bolder, and hurls for him, oh, half hurls earth for him off under his feet. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. The Caged Skylark by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. The Caged Skylark. As a dare-gale skylark scanted in a dull cage, man's mounting spirit in his bone-house, mean-house dwells. That bird, beyond the remembering his free fells, this, in drudgery, day labouring out life's age. Though aloft on turf or perch or poor low stage, both sing sometimes the sweetest spells, yet both droop deadly sometimes in their cells, or ring their barriers in bursts of fear or rage. Not that the sweet-fowl, song-fowl, needs no rest. Why, hear him babble and drop down to his nest. But his own nest, wild nest, no prison. Man's spirit will be flesh-bound when found at best, but uncumbered. Meadow down is not distressed for a rainbow footing it, nor he for his bones risen. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. In the Valley of the Elwy by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. In the Valley of the Elwy. I remember a house where all were good to me, God knows deserving no such thing. Comforting smell breathed at very entering, fetched fresh, as I suppose, of some sweet wood. That cordial air made those kind people a hood all over, as a bevy of eggs the mothering wing will, or mild nights the new morsels of spring. Why, it seemed of course, seemed of right it should. Lovely the woods, waters, meadows, combes, vales, all the air things wear that build this world of Wales. Only the inmate does not correspond. God, lover of souls, swaying considerate scales, complete thy creature, dear, oh, where it fails, being mightier master, being a father and fond. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. The Loss of the Eurydice by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. The Loss of the Eurydice, founded March 24th, 1878. The Eurydice, it concerned thee, O Lord, 300 souls, oh alas, on board, some asleep unawakened, all unwarned, 11 fathoms fallen where she foundered. One stroke felled and felled them, the hearts of oak, and flock bells off the aerial downs 4 fulls beat to the burial. For did she pride her, freighted fully on bounden bales or a hoard of bullion, precious passing measure, lads and men, her laid and treasure? She had come from a cruise, training seamen, men, bold boys soon to be men. Must it, worst weather, blast, bowl and bloom together? No Atlantic squall overwrought her, or rearing billow of the Biscay water. Home was hard at hand, and the blow bore from land. And you were a liar, O blue March day. Bright sun lanced fire in the heavenly bay, but what black Boreas wrecked her? He came equipped, deadly electric, a beetling bald bright cloud through England riding. There did storms not mingle, and hail ropes hustle and grind the heaven gravel, wolf snow, worlds of it, wind there? Now Carisbrooke keep goes under in gloom, now it overvaults Appledore-Coombe, now near by Ventnor town it hurls off Boniface down. Too proud, what a press she bore, royal and all her royals wore. Sharp with her, shorten sail. Too late, lost, gone with the gale. This was that fell capsize, as half she had righted, and hoped to rise, death teeming in by her portholes, raced down decks round messes of mortals. Then a lurch forward, frigate and men, all hands for themselves, the cry ran then. But she who had housed them thither was around them, bound them, or wound them with her. Marcus Hare, high her captain, kept to her, cared round, and wrapped in cheers death, would follow his charge through the champ-white water in a wallow. All under channel to bury in a beach her cheeks. Right rude of feature he thought he heard say, her commander and thou too, and thou this way. It is even seen, times something server, in mankind's medley, a duty swerver. A downright no or yes doffs all drives full for righteousness. Sidney Fletcher, Bristol bred, low lie his mates now on watery bed, takes to the seas and snows, as sheer down the ship goes. Now her after-draught gullies him too down, now he rings for breath with the death-gush brown, till a lifebelt, and God's will lend him a lift from the sea swill. Now he shoots short up to the round air, now he gasps, now he gazes everywhere, but his eye no cliff, no coast or mark makes in the rivelling snowstorm. Him, after an hour of wintry waves, a schooner sights, with another, and saves, and he boards her in, oh, such joy! He has lost count what came next, poor boy. They say who saw one sea corpse cold, he was all of lovely manly mould, every inch a tar of the best we boast our sailors are. Look, foot to forelock, how all things suit. He is strung by duty, is strained to beauty, and brown as dawning skinned with brine and shine and whirling wind. Oh, his nimble finger, his gnarled grip, leagues, leagues of seamanship slumber in these forsaken bones, this sinew, and will not waken. He was but one, like thousands more. Day and night I deplore my people and born own nation, fast foundering own generation. I might let bygones be, our curse of ruinous shrine no hand, or, worse, robbery's hand, is busy to dress, whore-hallowed shrines unvisited. Only the breathing temple and fleet life, this wildworth blown so sweet, these dare-deaths, aye, this crew, in unchrist, all rolled in ruin. Deeply surely I need to deplore it, wondering why my master bore it, the riving off that race so at home. Time was, to his truth and grace, that a Starlight wender of ours would say the marvellous milk was Walsingham way, and one, but let be, more than was, will yet be. Oh, well wept, mother have lost son, wept wife, wept sweetheart would be won. Though grief yield them no good, yet shed what tears sad true love should. But to Christ, Lord of thunder, crouch, lay knee by earth low under, holiest, loveliest, bravest, save my hero, O hero, savest. And the prayer thou heardst me making have, at the awful overtaking, heard. Have heard, and granted grace. That day grace was wanted. Not that hell knows redeeming, but for souls sunk in seeming fresh, till doom fire burn all, prayer shall fetch pity eternal.
End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. The May Magnificat by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. The May Magnificat. May is Mary's month, and I muse at that and wonder why. Her feasts follow reason, dated due to season, Candlemas, Lady Day. But the lady month, May, why fasten that upon her with a feasting in her honour? Is it only its being brighter than the most are must delight her? Is it opportunist and flowers find soonest? Ask of her, the mighty mother. Her reply puts this other question: what is spring? Growth in everything. Flesh and fleece, fur and feather, grass and green world all together. Star-eyed, strawberry-breasted throstle above her nested cluster of bugle-blue eggs thin, forms and warms the life within, and bird and blossom swell in sod or sheath or shell. All things rising, all things sizing Mary sees, sympathizing with that world of good, nature's motherhood. Their magnifying of each its kind with delight calls to mind how she did in her stored magnify the Lord. Well, but there was more than this. Spring's universal bliss had much to say to offering Mary May. When drop of blood and foam dapple bloom lights the orchard apple, and thicket and thorpe are merry with silver surfed cherry, and azuring over greybell makes woodbanks and brakes wash wet like lakes, and magic cuckoo call caps, clears, and clinches all. This ecstasy, all through mothering earth, tells Mary her mirth, till Christ's birth to remember, and exultation in God, who was her salvation.
End of poem. This poem is in the public domain.
Binsey Poplars
by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs.
Binsey Poplars, Felled, 1879. My aspens dear, whose airy cages quelled or quenched in leaves the leaping sun, all felled, are all felled. Of a fresh and following folded rank not spared, not one that dandled a sandalled shadow, that swam or sank on meadow and river and wind-wandering, weed-winding bank. Oh, if we but knew what we do when we delve or hew, hack and rack the growing green, since country is so tender to touch, her being so slender, that, like this sleek and seeing ball but a prick, will make no eye at all, where we, even where we mean to mend her, we end her when we hew or delve. After-comers cannot guess the beauty been, 10 or 12, only 10 or 12 strokes of havoc unselve the sweet especial scene, rural scene, a rural scene, sweet especial rural scene.
End of poem. This poem is in the public domain.
Duns Scotus's Oxford
by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs.
Duns Scotus's Oxford. Towery city and branchy between towers, cuckoo echoing, bell swarmed, loch charmed, rook racked, river rounded, the dapple-eared lily below thee. That country and town did once encounter in, here coped and poised powers. Thou hast a base and brickish skirt there, sour as that neighbour nature thy grey beauty is grounded best in. Graceless growth, thou hast confounded rural keeping, folk, flocks, and flowers. Yet, this air I gather and I release, he lived on. These weeds and waters, these walls, are what he haunted, who, of all men, most sways my spirits to peace. Of realty the rarest veined unraveller, are not rivalled insight, be rival Italy or Greece, who fired France for Mary without spot.
End of poem. This poem is in the public domain.
Henry Purcell
by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs.
Henry Purcell. The poet wishes well to the divine genius of Purcell, and praises him that, whereas other musicians have given utterance to the moods of man's mind, he has, beyond that, uttered in notes the very make and species of man, as created both in him and in all men generally. Have fair fallen, O fair, fair have fallen, so dear to me, so arch especial a spirit as heaves in Henry Purcell. An age is now since past, since parted. With the reversal of the outward sentence low lays him, listed to a heresy, here. Not mood in him nor meaning, proud fire or sacred fear, or love or pity, or all that sweet notes not his might nursel. It is the forged feature finds me. It is the rehearsal of own, of abrupt self there so thrusts on, so throngs the ear. Let him, oh, with his air of angels then lift me, lay me. Only I'll have an eye to the sakes of him, quaint moon marks, to his pelted plumage under wings, so some great stormfowl, whenever he has walked his while the thunder-purple sea-beach, plumed purple of thunder, if a wuthering of his palmy snow pinions scatter a colossal smile off him, but meaning motion fans fresh our wits with wonder.
End of poem. This poem is in the public domain.
Peace
by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs.
Peace. When will you ever, peace, wild wood dove, shy wings shut, your round me roaming end and under be my boughs? When, peace, will you peace? I'll not play hypocrite to own my heart. I yield you do come sometimes, but that piecemeal peace is poor peace. What pure peace allows alarms of wars, the daunting wars, the death of it? O surely, reaving peace, my lord should leave in lieu some good, and so he does leave patience exquisite,
that plumes to peace thereafter.
And when peace here does house, he comes with work to do. He does not come to coo, he comes to brood and sit.
End of poem. This poem is in the public domain.
The Bugler's First Communion
by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs.
The Bugler's First Communion. A bugler boy from Barrack, it is over the hill there, boy bugler, born, he tells me, of Irish mother to an English sire, he shares their best gift surely, fall how things will, this very, very day came down to us after a boon he, on my late being there, begged of me, overflowing boon in my bestowing, came, I say, this day to it, to a first communion. Here he knelt then, in regimental red. Forth Christ from cupboard fetched, how fain I of feet to his youngster take his treat, low latched in leaf-light housel his too huge godhead. There, and your sweet ascendings are divine, by it heavens befall him, as a heart Christ's darling dauntless, tongue true vaunt and tauntless, breathing bloom of a chastity a man's sex fine. Frowning and forfending angel warder squander the hell-rook ranks, sally to molest him. March, kind comrade, abreast him. Dress his days to a dexterous and starlight order. How it does my heart good, visiting at that bleak hill, when limber liquid youth, that to all I teach yields tender as a pushed peach, hies headstrong to its well-being of a self-wise self-will. Then, though I should tread tufts of consolation, days after, so I in a sort deserve to, and do serve God to serve to, just such slips of soldiery, Christ's royal ration. Nothing else is like it, no, not all so strains us. Fresh youth, fretted in a bloomful, all portending that sweet's sweeter ending. Realm both Christ is heir to, and there reigns. Oh, now, well work that sealing sacred ointment. Oh, for now charms, arms, what bands off bad and locks love ever in a lad. Let me, though, see no more of him, and not disappointment those sweet hopes quell, whose least me quickenings lift. In scarlet, or somewhere of some day seeing that brow and bead of being, and our days God's own Galahad. Though this child's drift seems by a divine doom channelled, nor do I cry disaster there, but may he not rankle and roam in back-wheels, though bound home? That, left to the Lord of the Eucharist, I here lie by. Recorded only, I have put my lips on pleas, would brandle adamantine heaven with ride and jar, did prayer go disregarded. Forward like, but, however, and like, favourable heaven heard these.
End of poem. This poem is in the public domain.
Morning, Midday and Evening Sacrifice by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Morning, Midday and Evening Sacrifice. The dappled die-away cheek and wimpled lip, the gold wisp, the airy grey eye, all in fellowship. This, all this beauty blooming, this, all this freshness fuming, give God well worth consuming. Both thought and thew now bolder and told by nature, tower, head, heart, hand, heel, and shoulder that beat and breathe in power. This pride of prime's enjoyment take us for tool, not toyment, and hold at Christ's employment. The vault and scope and schooling and mastery in the mind, in silk ash, kept from cooling, and ripest underrind. What life half lifts the latch of, what hell stalks towards the snatch of, your offering with dispatch of. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Andromeda by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Andromeda. Now time's Andromeda on this rock rude, with not her either beauty's equal or her injuries, looks off by both horns of shore. Her flower, her piece of being, doomed dragon's food. Time past she has been attempted and pursued by many blows and banes, but now hears roar a wilder beast from west than all were, more rife in her wrongs, more lawless and more lewd. Her Perseus linger and leave her to her extremes? Pillowy air he treads a time, and hangs his thoughts on her, forsaken that she seems, or while her patience, morselled into pangs, mounts, then to a light disarming no one dreams, with Gorgon's gear and bearbill, thongs and fangs. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. The Candle Indoors by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. The Candle Indoors. Some candle clear burns somewhere I come by. I muse at how its being puts blissful back with yellowy moisture mild, night's blearal black, or two-fro tender trambeams truckle at the eye. By that window, what task, what fingers ply? I plod, wondering, a-wanting, just for lack of answer the eager are a-wanting, Jessie or Jack, their God to aggrandize, God to glorify. Come, you indoors, come home. Your fading fire mend first and vital candle in close heart's vault. You there are master. Do your own desire. What hinders? Are you beam-blind, yet to a fault in a neighbour deft-handed? Are you that liar and cast by conscience out? Spend-saver salt. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. The Handsome Heart by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. The Handsome Heart, at a gracious answer. But tell me, child, your choice. What shall I buy you? Father, what you buy me, I like best. With the sweetest air that said, still plied and pressed, he swung to his first poised purport of reply. What the heart is, which, like carriers let fly, doff darkness, homing nature knows the rest, to its own fine function, wild and self-instressed, falls light as 10 years long taught how to and why. Mannerly hearted, more than handsome face, beauty's bearing or muse of mounting vein, all, in this case, bathed in high hallowing grace. Of heaven, what boon to buy you, boy, or gain not granted, only, oh, on that path you pace run all your race. Oh, brace sterner that strain. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. At the Wedding March by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. At the Wedding March. God with honour hang your head, groom, and grace you, bride, your bed with lissome scions, sweet scions, out of hallowed bodies bred. Each be others' comfort kind, deep, deeper than divined, divine charity, dear charity, fast you ever, fast bind. Then let the march tread our ears, I to him turn with tears who to wedlock, his wonder wedlock, deals triumph and immortal years. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Felix Randal by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Felix Randal. Felix Randal the farrier? Oh, he is dead then? My duty all ended, who have watched his mould of man, big-boned and hardy handsome, pining, pining, till time when reason rambled in it, and some fatal four disorders, fleshed there, all contended. Sickness broke him. Impatient, he cursed at first, but mended being anointed and all, though a heavenlier heart began some months earlier, since I had our sweet reprieve and ransom tendered to him. Ah well, God rest him all road ever he offended. This seeing the sick endears them to us too it endears. My tongue had taught thee comfort, touch had quenched thy tears that touched my heart, child, Felix, poor Felix Randal. How far from then forethought of all thy more boisterous years, when thou at the random grim forge, powerful amidst peers, didst fettle for thy great grey dray horse his bright and battering sandal. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Brothers by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Brothers. How lovely the elder brother's life, all laced in the other's, love-laced. What once I well witnessed, so fortune fell. When Shrovetide, 2 years gone, our boys' plays brought on, part was picked for John, young John. Then fear, then joy ran revel in the elder boy. Their night was come now, all our company thronged the hall. Henry, by the wall, beckoned me beside him. I came where called, and eyed him by meanwhiles, making my play turn most on tender byplay. For, rung all on love's rack, my lad, and lost in Jack, smiled, blushed, and bit his lip, or drove with a diver's dip, clutched hands down through clasped knees. Truth tokens tricks like these. Old tell-tales, with what stress he hung on the imp's success. Now the other was brass bold. He had no work to hold his heart up at the strain. Nay, roguish ran the vein. 2 tedious acts were past, Jack's call and cue at last, when Henry, heart forsook, dropped eyes, and dared not look. Eh? How all wrung, young dog, he did give tongue. But Harry, In his hands he has flung his tear-tricked cheeks aflame for fond love and for shame. Ah, nature, framed in fault, there's comfort then, there's salt. Nature, bad, base, and blind, dearly thou canst be kind. There dearly then, dearly, I'll cry, thou canst be kind. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Spring and Fall by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Spring and Fall. To a young child. Margaret, are you grieving over Golden Grove unleaving? Leaves, like the things of man, you with your fresh thoughts care for, can you? Ah, as the heart grows older, it will come to such sights colder by and by, nor spare a sigh though worlds of wanwood leaf-meal lie. And yet you will weep, and know why. Now, no matter, child, the name, sorrow's springs are the same. Nor mouth had, no, nor mind expressed what heart heard of, ghost guessed. It is the blight man was born for, it is Margaret you mourn for. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Spelt from Sibyl's Leaves by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Spelt from Sibyl's Leaves. Earnest, earthless, equal, attunable, voluminous, stupendous, evening strains to be time's vast, womb-of-all, home-of-all, hearse-of-all night. Her fond yellow hornlight wound to the west, her wild hollow hall-light hung to the height waste. Her earliest stars, earl stars, stars principal, overbend us. Fire featuring heaven, for earth her being has unbound. Her dapple is at an end, a stray or a swarm, all through the in throngs, self in self steeped and pashed, quite disremembering, dismembering all now. Heart, you round me right with. Our evening is over us, our night whelms, whelms, and will end us. Only the beak-leaved boughs, dragonish, damask the tall smooth bleak light, black. Ever so black on it, our tale, O our oracle, let life, waned, let life wind off her once stain veined variety, upon all on two spools, part, pen, pack now her all in two flocks, two folds, black, white. Right, wrong, reckon, but, reck, but, mind, but these two, where of a world, where but these two tell, each of the other, of a rack where, self-wrung, self-strung, sheathed and shelterless, thoughts against thoughts in groans grind. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Inversnaid by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Inversnaid. This darksome burn, horseback brown, his roll-rock high-road roaring down, in coop and in comb the fleece of his foam flutes and low,
to the lake falls home. A wind-puff bonnet of fawn froth turns and twindles over the broth of a pool so pitch-black, fell frowning, it rounds and rounds despair to drowning. Decked with dew, dappled with dew are the groins of the braes that the brook treads through. Wiry heathpacks, flitches of fern, and the bead-bonny ash that sits over the burn. What would the world be, once bereft of wet and of wildness? Let them be left, oh, let them be left, wildness and wet. Long live the weeds and the wilderness yet. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. As Kingfishers Catch Fire, Dragonflies Draw Flame by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. As kingfishers catch fire, dragonflies draw flame, as tumbled over rim in roundy wells stones ring, like each tucked string tells, each hung bell's bow swung finds tongue to fling out broad its name. Each mortal thing does one thing, and the same, deals out that being indoors each one dwells, selves, goes itself, myself it speaks and spells, crying, what I do is me, for that I came. I say more, the just man justices, keeps grace, that keeps all his goings graces, acts in God's eye what in God's eye he is, Christ. For Christ plays in 10,000 places, lovely in limbs and lovely in eyes not his, to the Father through the features of men's faces. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Ribblesdale by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Ribblesdale. Earth, sweet landscape with leavers throng and looshedlow grass, heaven that dost appeal to, with no tongue to plead, no heart to feel, that canst but only be, but dost that long. Thou canst but be, but that thou well dost. Strong thy plea with him who dealt, nay, does now deal. Thy lovely dale down thus and thus bids reel thy river, and awe gives all to wrack or wrong. And what is earth's eye, tongue, or heart else? Where else but in dear and dogged man? Ah, the heir to his own self bent so bound, so tied to his turn, to thriftless reeve both our rich round world bear, and none reck of world after. This bids wear earth's brows of such care, care and dear concern. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. The Leaden Echo and the Golden Echo by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. The Leaden Echo and the Golden Echo, maiden song from St. Winifred's Well. The Leaden Echo. How to keep? Is there any? Is there none such? Nowhere known some bow or brooch or braid or brace, lace, latch or catch or key to keep back beauty? Keep it, beauty, 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 from vanishing away. Oh, is there no frowning of these wrinkles, ranked wrinkles deep down? No waving off of these most mournful messengers, still messengers, sad and stealing messengers of grey. No, there's none, there's none, oh no, there's none. Nor can you long be what you now are, called fair. Do what you may do, do what you may, and wisdom is early to despair. Be beginning, since, no, nothing can be done to keep at bay age and age's evils, hoar hair, ruck and wrinkle drooping dying death's worst, winding sheets, tombs and worms and tumbling to decay. So be beginning to despair. Oh, there's none, no, 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 there's none. Be beginning to despair, 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 despair. The golden echo. Spare. There is one. Yes, I have one. Hush there. Only not within seeing of the sun, not within the singeing of the strong sun, tall sun's tinging, or treacherous the tainting of the earth's air. Somewhere elsewhere there is, ah well, where? One. Yes, I can tell such a key, I do know such a place, where whatever's prized and passes of us, everything that's fresh and fast, flying of us, seems to us sweet of us, and swiftly away with, done away with, undone, done with, soon done with, and yet dearly and dangerously sweet of us, the wimple water dimpled not by morning matched face, the flower of beauty, fleece of beauty, too apt to, to fleet, never fleets more, fastened with the tenderest truth to its own best being and its loveliness of youth. It is an everlastingness of, it is an all-youth. Come, then, your ways and airs and looks, locks, maiden gear, gallantry and gaiety and grace, winning ways, airs innocent, maiden manners, sweet looks, loose locks, long locks, love locks, gay gear, going gallant, girl grace. Resign them, sign them, seal them, send them, motion them with breath, and with sighs soaring sighs deliver them. Beauty in the ghost, deliver it, early now, long before death give beauty back. Beauty, back to God, beauty's self and beauty's giver. See, not a hair is, not an eyelash, not the least lash lost, every hair is, hair of the head, numbered. Nay, what we had light-handed left in surly the mere mould will have waked and have waxed, and have walked with the wind what while we slept, this side, that side, hurling a heavy-headed hundredfold what while we slumbered. Oh, then, weary then, why should we tread? Oh, why are we so haggard at the heart, so care-coiled, care-killed, so fagged, so fashed, so cogged, so cumbered, when the thing we freely forfeit is kept with fonderer care? Fonderer care kept than we could have kept it, kept far with fonderer care, and we should have lost it, finer, fonderer care kept. Where kept? Do but tell us where kept, where? Yonder. What? High as that? We follow, now we follow. Yonder, yes, yonder, yonder, yonder. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. The Blessed Virgin Compared to the Air We Breathe by Gerard Manley Hopkins.
Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. The Blessed Virgin compared to the air we breathe. Wild air, world-mothering air, nestling me everywhere that each eyelash or hair girdles, goes home betwixt the fleeciest, frailest flick snowflake that's fairly mixed with riddles and is rife in every least thing's life. This needful, never spent and nursing element, my more than meat and drink, my meal at every wink, this air, which by life's law my lung must draw and draw, now but to breathe its praise, minds me in many ways of her who not only gave God's infinity dwindled to infancy welcome in womb and breast, birth, milk, and all the rest, but mothers each new grace that does now reach our race. Mary, immaculate, merely a woman, yet whose presence power is great as no goddess's was deemed, dreamed, who this one work has to do, let all God's glory through. God's glory, which would go through her, and from her flow off, and no way but so. I say that we are wound with mercy round and round, as if with air. The same is Mary, more by name. She, wild web, wondrous robe, mantles the guilty globe, since God has let dispense her prayers his providence. Nay, more than almoner, the sweet alm's self is her, and men are meant to share her life, as life does air. If I have understood, she holds high motherhood towards all our ghostly good, and plays in grace her part about man's beating heart, laying, like air's fine flood, the death dance in his blood. Yet no part but what will be Christ our Saviour still. Of her flesh he took flesh. He does take fresh and fresh, though much the mystery how, not flesh, but spirit now, and makes, oh marvellous, new Nazareths in us, where she shall yet conceive him, morning, noon, and eve, new Bethlehems, and he born there, evening, noon, and morn. Bethlehem or Nazareth, men here may draw, like breath, more Christ, and baffle death, who, born so, comes to be new self, and nobler me in each one, and each one more makes, when all is done, both God's and Mary's Son. Again, look overhead, how air is azured. Oh, how! Nay, do but stand where you can lift your hand skywards. Rich, rich it laps round the four finger gaps. Yet such a sapphire shot charged, steeped sky will not stain light. Yea, mark you this, it does no prejudice. The glass blue days are those when every colour glows, each shape and shadow shows. Blue be it, this blue heaven, the 7 or 7 times 7 hued sunbeam will transmit perfect, not alter it. Or if there does some soft on things aloof aloft bloom breathe, that one breath more earth is the fairer for. Whereas did air not make this bath of blue, and slake his fire, the sun would shake, a blear and blinding ball with blackness bound, and all the thick stars round him roll, flashing like flecks of coal, quartz fret, or sparks of salt in grimy, vasty vault. So God was God of old, a mother came to mould those limbs like ours, which are what must make our day-star much dearer to mankind, whose glory bare would blind or less would win man's mind. Through her we may see him made sweeter, not made dim, and her hand leaves his light sifted to suit our sight. Be thou then, O thou dear mother, my atmosphere, my happier world, wherein to wend and meet no sin. Above me, round me lie, fronting my froward eye with sweet and scarless sky. Stir in my ears, speak there of God's love, O live air, of patience, penance, prayer. World-mothering air, air wild, wound with thee, in thee isled. Fold home, fast fold thy child. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. To What Serves Mortal Beauty by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. To what serves mortal beauty? To what serves mortal beauty? Dangerous. Does set dancing blood, the seal that so feature, flung prouder form than Purcell tune let's tread to? See, it does this. Keeps warm men's wits to the things that are, what good means, where a glance master more may than gaze out of countenance. Those lovely lads once wet fresh windfalls of war's storm, how then should Gregory, a father, have gleaned else from swarmed Rome? But God to a nation dealt that day's dear chance. To man that needs would worship block or barren stone, our law says, love what are love's worthiest were all known. World's loveliest, men's selves, self flashes of frame and face. What do then? How meet beauty? Merely meet it. Own home at heart heaven's sweet gift. Then leave, let that alone. Yea, wish that thou, wish all, God's better beauty, grace. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. The Soldier by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. The Soldier. Yes, why do we all, seeing of a soldier, bless him, bless our redcoats, our tars? Both these being, the greater part, but frail clay, nay, but foul clay. Here it is, the heart, since proud, it calls the calling manly, gives a guess that hopes, that makes believe the men must be no less. It fancies, feigns, deems, dears the artist after his art, and fain will find as sterling all as all is smart, and scarlet where the spirit of war there express. Mark Christ our King, he knows war, served this soldiering through. He of all can handle a rope best. There he bides in bliss now, and seeing somewhere some man do all that man can do, for love he leans forth, needs his neck must fall on, kiss, and cry, O Christ done deed, so God made flesh does too. Were I come o'er again, cries Christ, it should be this. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Carrion Comfort by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Carrion Comfort. Not, I'll not, Carrion Comfort, despair, not feast on thee. Not untwist, slack they may be, these last strands of man in me, or, most weary, cry, I can no more. I can something, hope, wish day come, not choose not to be. But, oh, thou terrible, why wouldst thou root on me thy ring-whirled right-foot rock? Lay a lion limb against me, scan with darksome devouring eyes my bruised bones, and fan, in turns of tempest me heaped there, me frantic to avoid thee and flee. Why? That my chaff might fly, my grain lie sheer and clear? Nay, in all that toil, that coil, since, seems, I kissed the rod, and rather my heart low, lapped strength, stole joy, would laugh, cheer. Cheer whom, though? The hero whose heaven-handling flung me, foot-trod me? Or me that fought him? Oh, which one? Is it each one? That night, that year of now done darkness, I wretch lay wrestling with, my God, my God. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. No Worst There Is None by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. No worst there is none. Pitch past pitch of grief, more pangs will, schooled at 4 pangs wilder ring. Comforter, where is your comforting? Mary, mother of us, where is your relief? My cries heave herds long, huddle in amain, a chief woe, world sorrow, on an age-old anvil wince and sing, then lull, then leave off. Fury had shrieked, no lingering, let me be fell, force I must be brief. Oh, the mind has mountains, cliffs of full frightful sheer, no man fathomed. Hold them cheap may who ne'er hung there, nor does long our small durance deal with that steep or deep. Here, creep, wretch, under a comfort serves in a whirlwind. All life death does end, and each day dies with sleep. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Tom's Garland by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Tom's Garland upon the unemployed. Tom, garlanded with squat and surly steel Tom. Then Tom's fallow bootfellow piles pick by him, and rips out rockfire home forth. Sturdy Dick. Tom Heart-at-ease, Tom Navvy. He is all for his meal, sure, sped now. Low be it. Lustily he is low lot. Feel that ne'er need hunger, Tom. Tom seldom sick, seldom a heart sore, that treads through, prick-proof, thick thousands of thorns, thoughts, swings through. Common will little I recko, lack levelling, if all have bread. What? Country is honour enough in all us. Lordly head, with heaven's lights high hung round, or mother grand that mammocks mighty foot. But no ways sped, nor mind, nor main strength. Gold go garlanded with perilous, oh no, nor yet plod safe shod sand. Undenizened, beyond bound of earth's glory, earth's ease, all. No one, nowhere, in wide the world's wheel. Rare gold, bold steel, bare in both. Care, but share care. This by despair bred hangdog dull, by rage man-wolf worse, and their packs infest the age. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Harry Plowman by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Harry Plowman, hard as hurdle arms, with a broth of goldish flue breathed around, the rack of ribs, the scooped flank, lank rope over thigh, knee-nave and barrelled shank, head and foot, shoulder and shank, by a grey eye's heed steered well, one crew, full two, stand at stress. Each limb's barrowy brawn, his thew that one where curded, one where sucked or sank, soared or sank. Though as a beach bowl firm finds his, as at a roll call, rank and features in flesh, what deed he each must do, his sinew service where do. He leans to it, Harry bends, look, back, elbow and liquid waist in him, all quail to the wallowing of the plough, his cheek crimsons, curls wag or cross-bridle, in a wind lifted, wind-laced, see his wind lily-locks laced. Churl's grace too, child of Ammon strength, how it hangs or hurls them. Broad in bluff hide, his frowning feet lashed, raced with along them crag-iron under and cold furls, with a fountain's shining shot furls. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. To seem the stranger lies my lot, my life, by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. To seem the stranger lies my lot, my life among strangers. Father and mother dear, brothers and sisters are in Christ, not near, and he, my peace, my parting, sword and strife. England, whose honour, oh, all my heart woos, wife to my creating thought, would neither hear me, were I pleading, plead nor do I, weary of idler being, but by where wars are rife. I am in Ireland now, Now I am at a third remove. Not but in all removes I can kind love both give and get. Only what word wisest my heart breeds, dark heaven's baffling ban bars, or hell's spell thwarts? This to hoard unheard, heard unheeded, leaves me a lonely began. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. I wake and feel the fell of dark, not day, by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. I wake and feel the fell of dark, not day. What hours, oh, what black hours we have spent this night! What sights you, heart, saw, ways you went, and more must, in yet longer light's delay. With witness I speak this, but where I say hours I mean years, mean life, and my lament is cries countless, cries like dead letters sent to dearest him that lives, alas, away. I am gall, I am heartburn, God's most deep decree bitter would have me taste. My taste was me. Bones built in me, flesh filled, blood brimmed the curse. Self-yeast of spirit a dull dough sours. I see the lost are like this, and their scourge to be as I am mine, their sweating selves, but worse. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Patience Hard Thing, The Hard Thing But to Pray, by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Patience, hard thing, the hard thing but to pray, but bid for, patience is. Patience who asks wants war, wants wounds. Weary his times, his tasks, to do without, take tosses and obey. Rare patience roots in these, and, these away, nowhere. Natural heart's ivy, patience masks our ruins of wrecked past purpose. There she basks, purple eyes and seas of liquid leaves, all day. We hear our hearts grate on themselves, it kills to bruise them dearer. Yet the rebellious wills of us we do bid God bend to him even so. And where is he who more and more distills delicious kindness? He is patient. Patience fills his crisp combs, and that comes those ways we know. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. My Own Heart Let Me Have More Pity On, by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. My own heart let me have more pity on. Let me live to my sad self hereafter kind, charitable. Not live this tormented mind with this tormented mind tormenting yet. I cast for comfort, I can no more get by groping round my comfortless, than blind eyes in their dark can day, or thirst can find thirsts, all in all a world of wet. Soul, self, come, poor Jack's self, I do advise you jaded, let be. Call off thoughts a while elsewhere. Leave comfort root room. Let joy sighs at God knows when to God knows what, whose smiles not wrung, see you. Unforeseen times rather, as skies between pine mountains, lights a lovely mile. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. That nature is a Heraclitean fire, and of the comfort of the resurrection, by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. That nature is a Heraclitean fire, and of the comfort of the resurrection. Cloud puffball, torn tufts, tossed pillows flaunt forth, then chevy on an air-built thoroughfare, heaven roisterers in gay gangs they throng, they glitter in marches. Down roughcast, down dazzling whitewash, wherever an elm arches, shive lights and shadow tackle, in long lashes lace lance and pear. Delightfully the bright wind boisterous ropes, wrestles, beats earth bare of yester-tempest's creases, in pool and rut-peel parches, squandering ooze to squeezed dough, crust, dust, stanches, starches, squadron masks and man-marks, treadmire toil there, foot fretted in it. Million fueled, nature's bonfire burns on. But quench her bonniest, dearest to her clearest selved spark, man. How fast his fire dint, his mark on mind is gone. Both are in an unfathomable, all is in an enormous dark drowned. O pity and indignation, man-shape that shone sheer off, disseveral, a star, death blocks black out, nor mark is any of him at all so stark, but vastness blurs and time beats level. Enough. The resurrection, a heart's clarion. Away, grief's grasping, joyless day's dejection. Across my foundering deck shone a beacon, an eternal beam. Flesh fade, and mortal trash fall to the residuary worm. World's wildfire leave but ash. In a flash, at a trumpet crash, I am all at once what Christ is, since he was what I am. And this Jack, joke, poor potsherd, patch, matchwood, immortal diamond, is immortal diamond. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. St. Alphonsus Rodriguez by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. In honour of St. Alphonsus Rodriguez, lay brother of the Society of Jesus. Honour is flashed off exploit, so we say, and those strokes once that gashed flesh, or galled shield, should tongue that time now, trumpet now that field, and on the fighter forge his glorious day. On Christ they do, and on the martyr may. But be the war within, the brand we wield unseen, the heroic breast not outward steeled, earth hears no hurtle then from fiercest fray. Yet God, that hews mountain and continent, earth all out, who, with trickling increment veins, violets and tall trees, makes more and more, could crowd career with conquest, while there went those years and years by of world without event, that in Majorca Alfonso watched the door. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Thou art indeed just, Lord, if I contend, by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Justus quidem tues, Domine, si disputem tecum. Verum tamen justa loqua ad te, quare vir impiorum prosperatur, etc. Thou art indeed just, Lord, if I contend with thee. But, sir, what I plead is just. Why do sinners' ways prosper, and why must disappointment all I endeavour end? Wert thou my enemy, O thou my friend, how wouldst thou worse, I wonder, than thou dost defeat, thwart me? O the sots and thralls of lust do in spare hours more thrive than I that spend, sir, life upon thy cause. See, banks and brakes now leaved, how thick! Laced they are again with fretty chervil, look, and fresh wind shakes them. Birds build, but not I build, no, but strain. Time's eunuch, and not breed one work that wakes. Mine, O thou Lord of life, send my roots rain. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. To R.B. by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. To R.B. The fine delight that fathers thought, the strong spur, live and lancing like the blowpipe flame, breathes once, and, quenched faster than it came, leaves yet the mind a mother of immortal song. 9 months she then, nay, years, 9 years she long within her wears, bears, cares, and moulds the same. The widow of an insight lost, she lives, with aim now known, and hand at work now never wrong. Sweet fire, the sire of Muse, my soul needs this. I want the one rapture of an inspiration. O then, if in my lagging lines you miss the roll, the rise, the carol, the creation, my winter world, that scarcely breathes that bliss now, yields you, with some sighs, our explanation. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Summer by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Summer. The best ideal is the true, and other truth is none. All glory be ascribed to the Holy Three in One. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. What being in rankled nature should earlier have that breath been, by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. What being in rankled nature should earlier have that breath been that here, personal, tells off these heart-song powerful peals? A bush-browed, beetle-browed billow, is it? with a south-westerly wind blustering, with a tide rolls reels of crumbling, four-foundering, thundering all surfy seas in, seen underneath their glassy barrel of a fairy green, or a jaunting, vaunting, vaulting, assaulting trumpet-telling. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. On the Portrait of Two Beautiful Young People by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. On the portrait of two beautiful young people, a brother and sister. Oh, I admire and sorrow. The heart's eye grieves discovering you, dark tramplers, tyrant years. A juice rides rich through bluebells in vine leaves, and beauty's dearest, veriest vein is tears. Happy the father, mother of these. Too fast, not that, but thus far, all with frailty, blessed in one fair fall. But, for time's aftercast, creatures all heft, hope, hazard, interest. And are they thus? The fine, the fingering beams their young, delightful hour do feature down that fleeted, else like day-dissolved dreams all ringlet race on Burling Barrow brown. She leans on him with such contentment fond, as well the sister sits would well the wife. His looks, the soul's own letters, see beyond, gaze on, and fall directly forth on life. But bright forelock, cluster that you are of favoured make and mind and health and youth, where lies your landmark, sea-mark, All Souls' star? There's none but truth can stead you. Christ is truth. There's none but good can be good, both for you and what sways with you, maybe the sweet maid. None good but God. A warning wavered to one once that was found wanting when good weighed. Man lives that list, that leaning in the will no wisdom can forecast by gauge or guess. The selfless self of self, most strange, most still, fast furled and all fordrawn to no or yes. Your feast of that most in you earnest eye may but call on your banes to more carouse. Worst will the best. What worm was here, we cry, to have havoc pox so, see, the hung heavenward bows? Enough, corruption was the world's first woe. What need I strain my heart beyond my ken? Oh, but I bear my burning witness, though, against the wild and wanton work of men. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. The sea took pity, it interposed with doom, by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. The sea took pity, it interposed with doom. I have tall daughters dear that heed my hand. Let winter wed one, sow them in her womb, and she shall child them on the new world's strand. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Ash Boughs by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Ash Boughs. A. Not of all my eyes see wandering on the world is anything a milk to the mind so sighs deep poetry to it as a tree whose boughs break in the sky. Say it is ash boughs, whether on a December day and furled fast, or they in clammyish lash-tender combs creep apart, wide and new nestle at heaven most high. They touch heaven, tabor on it. How their talons sweep the smouldering enormous winter welkin. Maymel's blue and snow-white through them, a fringe and fray of greenery. It is old earth groping towards the steep heaven whom she childs us by. B. Variant from line 7. They touch, they tabor on it, hover on it, open square bracket. Here they're hurled, close square bracket, with talons sweep the smouldering enormous winter welkin, open square bracket. Aye, but more cheer is when, close square bracket, Maymel's blue with snow-white through their fringe and fray of greenery, and old earth gropes for, grasps at steep heaven with it, whom she childs things by. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Hope holds to Christ the mind's own mirror out, by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Hope holds to Christ the mind's own mirror out, to take his lovely likeness more and more. It will not well, so she will bring about an ever brighter burnish than before, and turns to wash it from her welling eyes, and breathes the blots off all with sighs on sighs. Her glass is blessed, but she, as good as blind, holds till hand aches, and wonders what is there. Her glass drinks light, she darkles down behind, all of her glorious gainings unaware. I told you that she turned her mirror dim between whiles, but she sees herself, not him. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. St. Winifred's Well by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. St. Winifred's Well. Act 1, Scene 1. Enter Terrace from riding, Winifred following. Terrace. What is it, Gwen, my girl? Why do you hover and haunt me? Winifred. You came by Caerwith, sir? Terrace. I came by Caerwith. Winifred. There, some messenger there might have met you from my uncle. Terrace. Your uncle met the messenger, met me, and this is the message. Lord Beauno comes tonight. Winifred. Tonight, sir? Terrace. Soon, now. Therefore, have all things ready in his room. Winifred. There needs but little doing. Terrace. Let what there needs be done. Stay, with him, one companion, his deacon, Dervan Warm. Twice over must the welcome be, but both will share one cell. This was good news, Grandfrewy. Winifred. Ah, yes. Terrace. Why, get thee gone then. Tell thy mother I want her. Exit Winifred. No man has such a daughter. The fathers of the world call no such maiden mine. The deeper grows her dearness, and more times laces round and round my heart, the more some monstrous hand gropes with clammy fingers there, tampering with those sweet binds, draws them out, strains them. Meantime some tongue cries, What terreth? What, thou poor fond father? How, when this bloom, this honeysuckle, that rides the air so rich about thee, is all sheared away, thus? Then I sweat for fear, or else a funeral, And yet 'tis not a funeral, some pageant which takes tears, and I must foot with feeling that, alive or dead, my girl is carried in it. Endlessly goes marching through my mind. What sense is this? It has none. This is too much the father, nay, the mother, fanciful. I here forbid my thoughts to fool themselves with fears. Enter Gwenlow. Act 2. Scene: a wood ending in a steep bank over a dry dean, Winifred having been murdered within. Re-enter Caradoc with a bloody sword. Caradoc. My heart! Where have we been? What have we seen, my mind? What stroke has Caradoc's right arm dealt? What done? Head of a rebel struck off it has, written upon lovely limbs in bloody letters lessons of earnest, of revenge. Monuments of my earnest, records of my revenge on one that went against me, whereas I had warned her. Warned her! Well she knew. I warned her of this work. What work? What harm's done? There is no harm done, none yet. Perhaps we struck no blow. Grandeur lives, perhaps. To make believe my mood was mock. Oh, I might think so, but here is a workman from his day's task sweats. Wiped, I am sure this was. It seems not well, for still the scarlet swings and dances on the blade. So be it. Thou steel, thou butcher, I can scour thee, fresh burnish thee, sheathe thee in thy dark lair. These drops never, never, never in their blue banks again. The woeful, Cradoc, oh, the woeful word! Then what? What have we seen? Her head, sheared from her shoulders, fall, and lapped in shining hair, roll to the bank's edge. Then down the beetling banks, like water in waterfalls, it stooped and flashed and fell and ran like water away. Her eyes, oh, and her eyes, in all her beauty, and sunlike to it is a pit, den, darkness. Foam falling is not fresh to it, rainbow by it not beaming. In all her body, I say, no place was like her eyes. No piece matched those eyes, kept most part much cast down, but being lifted, immortal, of immortal brightness. Several times I saw them, thrice or four times turning, round and round they came, and flashed towards heaven. Oh, there they did appeal. Therefore airy vengeances are afoot, heaven vault fast purpling portents. And what first lightning any instant falls means me. And I do not repent, I do not, and I will not repent, not repent. The blame bear who aroused me. What I have done violent I have like a lion done, lion-like done, honouring an uncontrolled royal wrathful nature, mantling passion in a grandeur, crimson grandeur. Now be my pride then perfect, all one piece. Henceforth in a wide world of defiance Caradoc lives alone, loyal to his own soul, laying his own law down. No law nor lord now curb him for ever. O daring, O deep insight! What is virtue? Valour, only the heart valiant, and right only resolution, will, his will unwavering, who, like me, knowing his nature to the heart home, nature's business dispatches with no flinching. But will flesh, oh, can flesh second this fiery strain? Not always. Oh, no, no, we cannot live this life out. Sometimes we must weary, and in this darksome world what comfort can I find? Down this darksome world comfort where can I find, whence light I quenched? Its rose, time's one rich rose, my hand by her bloom, fast by her fresh, her fleeced bloom, hideous dashed down, leaving earth a winter withering with no Gwenvrewi. I must miss her most that might have spared her, were it but for passion's sake. Yes, to hunger and not have, yet hope on for, to storm and strive, and be it every assault fresh foiled, worse flung, deeper disappointed. The turmoil and the torment it has, I swear, a sweetness, keeps a kind of joy in it, a zest, an edge, an ecstasy, next after sweet success. I am not left even this. I all my being have hacked in half with her neck. One part, reason, self-disposal, choice of better or worse way, is corpse now, cannot change. My other self, this soul, life's quick, this kind, this keen, self-feeling, with dreadful distillation of thought, sour as blood, must all day long taste murder. What do now, then? Do? Nay, deed-bound I am. One deed treads all down here, cramps all doing. What do? Not yield, not hope, not pray. Despair. Ay, that brazen despair out. Brave all, and take what comes. As here this rabble is come, whose bloods I reck no more of, no more rank with hers than sewers with sacred oils. Mankind that mobs comes. Come. Enter a crowd, among them Terith, Gwenlo, Beuno. After Winifred's raising from the dead and the breaking out of the fountain. Beuno. O now while skies are blue, now while seas are salt, while rushy rain shall fall, or brooks shall fleet from fountains, while sick men shall cast sighs of sweet health, all despairing, while blind men's eyes shall thirst after daylight, draughts of daylight, or deaf ears shall desire that lip music that's lost upon them, while cripples are, while lepers, dancers in dismal limb-dance, fallers in dreadful froth-pits, water-fearers wild, stone, palsy, cancer, cough, lung-wasting, womb-not-bearing, rupture, running sores, what more? In brief, in burden, as long as men are mortal and God merciful, so long to this sweet spot, this leafy Leanover, this dry Dean, now no longer dry nor dumb, but moist and musical with the uproll and the down-carol of day and night delivering water, which keeps thy name. For not in rock written, but in pale water, frail water, wild, rash, and reeling water that will not wear a print, that will not stain a pen, thy venerable record, Virgin, is recorded. Here to this holy well shall pilgrimages be, and not from purple Wales only, nor from Elmy England, but from beyond seas, Erin, France and Flanders, everywhere, pilgrims, still pilgrims, more pilgrims, still more poor pilgrims. What sight shall be when some that swung, wretches, on crutches their crutches shall cast from them, on heels of air departing, or they go rich as rose-leaves hence that loathsome came hither, not now to name even those dearer, more divine booms whose haven the heart is, as sure as what is most sure, sure as that spring primroses shall new dapple next year, sure as tomorrow morning, amongst come-back-again things, things with a revival, things with a recovery, thy name. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. What Shall I Do for the Land That Bred Me? By Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. What shall I do for the land that bred me, her homes and fields that folded and fed me? Be under her banner and live for her honour. Under her banner I'll live for her honour. Chorus. Under her banner, live for her honour. Not the pleasure, the pay, the plunder, but country and flag, the flag I am under. There is the shilling that finds me willing to follow a banner and fight for honour. Chorus. We follow her banner, we fight for her honour. Call me England's fame's fond lover, her fame to keep, her fame to recover. Spend me or end me what God shall send me, but under her banner I live for her honour. Chorus. Under her banner we march for her honour. Where is the field I must play the man on? Oh, welcome there their steel or cannon. Immortal beauty is death with duty, if under her banner I fall for her honour. Chorus. Under her banner we fall for her honour. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. The Times Are Nightfall. Look, their light grows less. By Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. The times are nightfall. Look, their light grows less. The times are winter. Watch, a world undone. They waste, they wither worse. They, as they run or bring more or more, blazon man's distress. And I not help, nor word now of success. All is from wreck here, there, to rescue one, work which to see scarce so much as begun makes welcome death, does dear forgetfulness. Or what is else? There is your world within. There rid the dragons, root out there the sin. Your will is law in that small commonweal. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Cheery Beggar by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Cheery Beggar. Beyond Magdalen and by the bridge, on a place called there the Plain, in summer, in a burst of summer-time following falls and falls of rain, when the air was sweet and sour of the flown fine flower of those gold nails and their gay links that hang along a lime. The motion of that man's heart is fine, whom want could not make pine. Pine that struggling should not sear him, a gift should cheer him, like that poor pocket of pence, poor pence of mine. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Dennis, whose motionable, alert, most vaulting wit, by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Dennis, whose motionable, alert, most vaulting wit caps occasion with an intellectual fit. Yet Arthur is a bowman. His three-heeled timbrel hit the bold and bold blinking gold when all's done, right rooting in the bare butt's wincing navel in the sight of the sun. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. The Furl of Fresh-Leaved Dogrose by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. The furl of fresh-leaved dogrose, down his cheeks the forth and flaunting sun had swathed about with lion brown before the spring was done. His locks, like all a ravel rope's end, with hempen strands in spray, fallow, foam fallow hanks, fallen off their ranks, swung down at a disarray, or like a juicy and jostling shock of bluebells sheaved in May, or windlong fleeces on the flock a day off shearing day. Then over his turned temples here was a rose, or, failing that, rough robin or five-lipped campion clear, for a beauty bow to his hat. And the sunlight sidled like dewdrops, like dandled diamonds, through the sieve of the straw of the plat. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. The Woodlark by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. The Woodlark. Divo, Givo, Givio, G. Where can that be? Weedio, there again. So tiny a trickle of song strain, and all round not to be found for briar, bough, furrow, or green ground, before or behind, or far or at hand, either left, either right, anywhere in the sunlight. Well, after all, but hark, I am the little woodlark. To-day the sky is 2 and 2, with white strokes and strains of the blue. Round-a-ring, around-a-ring, and while I sail, must listen, I sing. The Skylark is my cousin, and he is known to men more than me. When the cry within says go on, then I go on till the longing is less and the good gone. But down drop if it says stop to the orla-leaf of the tree-top, and after that off the bough. I am so very, oh so very glad that I do think there is not to be had. The blue wheat-acre is underneath, and the braided ear breaks out of the sheath, the ear in milk, lush the sash, and crushed silk poppies a-flash, the blood-gush, blade-gash, flame-rash, rud-red, bud-shelling, or broad-shed tatter-tassel dangled, and dingle-a-dangled dandy-hung dainty head. And down the furrow dry sun-spurge and ox-eye,
and lace-leaved, lovely, foam-tuft fumitory. Through the velvety wind, fee-winged to the nest's nook, I balance and buoy, with a sweet joy of a sweet joy, sweet of a sweet joy of a sweet joy. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Moonrise by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Moonrise. I awoke in the midsummer, not to call night, in the white and the walk of the morning. The moon dwindled and thinned to the fringe of a fingernail held to the candle, or paring of paradisaical fruit, lovely in waning but lustreless. Stepped from the stool, drew back from the barrow of dark Magnificat the mountain. A cusp still clasped him, a fluke yet fanged him, entangled him, not quit utterly. This was the prized, the desirable sight, unsought, presented so easily, parted me leaf and leaf, divided me eyelid and eyelid of slumber. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Repeat That Repeat by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Repeat that, repeat, cuckoo bird, and open ear wells, heart springs delightfully sweet with a ballad, a rebound off trundled timber and scoops of the hillside ground, hollow, hollow, hollow ground. The whole landscape flushes on a sudden at a sound. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. On a Piece of Music by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. On a Piece of Music. How all's to one thing wrought. See facsimile after page 92. This recording is in the public domain. The Child is Father to the Man by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. The child is father to the man? How can he be? The words are wild. Suck any sense from that who can. The child is father to the man? No, what the poet did write ran, the man is father to the child. The child is father to the man? How can he be? The words are wild. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. The Shepherd's Brow Fronting Forked Lightning by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. The shepherd's brow fronting forked lightning owns the horror and the havoc and the glory of it. Angels fall, they are towers from heaven, a story of just, majestical and giant groans. But man, we, scaffold of score brittle bones, who breathe from ground-long babyhood to hoary age, gasp, whose breath is our memento mori, what base is our viol for tragic tones? He, hand to mouth he lives, and voids with shame, and, blazoned in however bold the name, Man Jack the Man is just, his mate a hussy, and I that die these deaths, that feed this flame, that... in smooth spoons by life's mask mirrored. Tame my tempests there, my fire and fever fussy. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. To His Watch by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. To His Watch. Mortal, my mate, bearing my rocker heart warm beat with cold beat company, shall I earlier or you fail at our force, and lie the ruins of, rifled, once a world of art? The telling time our task is, time's some part, not all, but we were framed to fail and die. One spell, and well that one. There, thereby is comfort's carol of all woe's worst smart. Field flown the departed day, no morning brings, saying, this was yours, with her, but new one worse. And then that last and shortest. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Strike, churl, hurl, cheerless wind then, by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Strike, churl, hurl, cheerless wind then, heltering hail, May's beauty massacre, and whispered wild clouds grow out on the giant air. Tell summer no, bid joy back, have at the harvest, keep hope pale. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Epithalamion by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Epithalamion. Hark, hearer, hear what I do. Lend a thought now. Make believe we are leaf-whelmed somewhere with the hood of some branchy, bunchy, bushy-bowered wood, Southern Dean or Lancashire Clough or Devon Cleave, that leans along the loins of hills, where a candy-coloured, where a glue-gold-brown marbled river, boisterously beautiful between roots and rocks, is danced and dandled, all in froth and water blowballs down. We are there when we hear a shout that the hanging honeysuck, the dog-eared hazels in the cover makes dither, makes hover, and the riot of a rout of, it must be, boys from the town bathing. It is summer's sovereign good. By there comes a listless stranger. Beckoned by the noise, he drops towards the river, unseen, sees the bevy of them, how the boys with dare and with down dolphinry and bell-bright bodies huddling out are earth-world, air-world, water-world, thorough-hurled, all by turn and turn about. This garland of their gambols flashes in his breast into such a sudden zest of summer-time joys that he hies to a pool neighbouring, sees it is the best there, sweetest, freshest, shadowiest. Fairyland, silk beech, scrolled ash, packed sycamore, wild wych-elm, hornbeam fretty overstood by, rafts and rafts of flake leaves light, dealt so, painted on the air, hang as still as hawk or hawk-moth, as the stars or as the angels there, like the thing that never knew the earth, never off roots rose. Here he feasts, lovely all is. No more, off with, down he dings his bleached both and wool-woven wear, careless these in coloured wisp all lie tumbled to. Then with loop-locks forward falling, forehead frowning, lips crisp over finger-teasing task, his twiny boots fast he opens. Last he offerings till walk the world he can with bare his feet, and come where lies a coffer, barely all of blocks built of chance-quarried, self-quained rocks, and the water warbles over into, filleted with glassy, grassy, quicksilvery shivers, and shoots, and with heaven-fallen freshness down from moorland still brims, dark or daylight, on and on. Here he will then, here he will the fleet, flinty, kind-cold element let break across his limbs long, where we leave him, frolic lavish while he looks about him, laughs, swims. Enough now, since the sacred matter that I mean, I should be wronging longer leaving it to float upon this only gambling and echoing of earth's note. What is the delightful Dean? Wedlock. What the water? Spousal love. Father, mother, brothers, sisters, friends, into fairy trees, wild flowers, wood ferns ranked round the bower. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. Thee God I Come From, To Thee Go, by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. Thee God I come from, to thee go. All day long I like fountain flow from thy hand out, swayed about mote-like in thy mighty glow. What I know of thee I bless as acknowledging thy stress on my being, and as seeing something of thy holiness. Once I turned from thee and hid, bound on what thou hadst forbid. Sow the wind I would, I sinned. I repent of what I did. Bad I am, but yet thy child. Father, be thou reconciled. Spare thou me, since I see with thy might that thou art mild. I have life before me still, and thy purpose to fulfil. Yea, a debt to pay thee yet. Help me, sir, and so I will. But thou bidst, and just thou art, me show mercy from my heart towards my brother, every other man my mate and counterpart. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. To Him Who Ever Thought with Love of Me, by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. To him who ever thought with love of me, or ever did for my sake some good deed, I will appear, looking such charity and kind compassion at his life's last need, that he will out of hand and heartily repent he sinned, and all his sins be freed. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain. End of Poems of Gerard Manley Hopkins.